If you love Kia's EV9, but you always thought to yourself that their practical 3-row EV needed a bit more oomph and a bit better 0 to 60 time, well, now we have this. This is the new EV9 GT. Yes, not GT line, this is the GT, even though the front end does look an awful lot like the GT line. Here's what Kia did. They gave us some subtle tweaks up front. We get a different version of the digital Tiger Nose grille up front, although if you really looked closely, you'll notice that all the elements are there. But that's because this is a software-defined function where you can actually get some different designs to this particular section. We still have the daytime running lights here. We still have the multi-module Ice Cube style sort of waterfall vertical headlights there, and definitely a very aggressive look. And you can see what the turn signal looks like right there. But the bigger change happens under the body, where we get 501 horsepower. I am a little bit surprised we don't get basically the same motors that we find in the EV6 GT. This actually has a slightly different profile, apparently. Bigger change though, big brakes, big wheels, and big tires. These are 285/45 R21s. These are some pretty meaty tires. Sport Contact 6 tires from Continental. So definitely a lot more grip than you find in the regular EV9. The rest of it though, it's about the same. So same size, we get lots of black cladding going on, of course, on the wheel arches, down there below the doors, etc. And it may be difficult to see the back end. I'm not sure if you can actually come in that close here, but the taillight design, that's that same cool sort of a 3-point star design that we find in the regular EV9. GT badging down there, of course, on the side here. I really like the look. I think they did a good job with the subtlety of this. Now, here, you'll find the other big change on the outside, and that is the new J3400 charge port. This is going to be one of the first EVs in North America that doesn't have a Tesla logo on it, but has the Tesla charge connector. Now, there are a few things to keep in mind. If you are going to charge this at a Tesla supercharger station, it is not going to charge as quickly as at an 800-volt EA station or EVgo station. So this battery should take about 24 to 25 minutes to go from 10% to 80% charge. At an EA station, that's going to stretch out by at least 50% if you go to a Tesla supercharger station. So certainly something to keep in mind. I don't have all the specifications just yet for the EV9 GT, but it does not appear that it gets the same bigger battery that we find in the Hyundai Ioniq 9. So it's going to be about 100 kilowatt hours in terms of capacity, not 110 like we find in the Ioniq 9. You can bet that thanks to the bigger tires though, that range is going to be towards the bottom end of the current EV9 lineup. Now let's take a look at the changes on the inside. All right, let's take a look at some of the interior changes that make the EV9 GT so unique and a little bit of an enigma, because I'm not entirely clear who the GT is for, since this is ostensibly a family 3-row EV. Up here we have the yellow accents that we find on other GT models, most notably the EV6 GT, of course. We have a powered tilt telescopic steering column, memory linked. That GT mode, of course, is going to unlock all the fun in this vehicle. Then we have upgraded accents all around. So if you look at the seats here, we find the Alcantara inserts, more of that sort of I guess electric lime striping there and electric lime stitching. We also find really aggressive bolsters. These bolsters are really huge for a family vehicle. Definitely some very aggressive styling touches. But in the back, we still have a lot of family practicality, as you'd expect. And of course, a lot of luxury, because the price tag is probably going to be at the very upper limit of the Kia lineup. So second row seats in this model, fully powered, which is kind of cool. They also have the powered ottoman design for relaxation if you are DC fast charging and you just want to sit there and relax for a bit. We have the manual extending center console. Lots of interior practicality in here that we don't necessarily find even in some luxury vehicles in this segment. I do like that as far as kids and lunches and things like that. Let's go ahead and see how getting in the back is. If you get the powered seats in any EV9 in the second row, it does take a while to get back here into the third row. It takes a while to move that. And of course, you can't leave a child seat latch anchored into place in the second row like you can in the new Ioniq 9, interestingly. But back here, lots and lots of headroom. Just check that out. This third row is easily among the roomiest available in the EV segment. Significantly more headroom than we find in a Tesla Model X, certainly significantly more than in the Model Y. And actually, I find these back seats more comfortable than a Rivian R1S, which is probably the closest direct competitor, I would say, among the newer vehicles in this segment. I'll go ahead and power fold that one forward so you can see. This is a 2-person bench only, but we do get extra latch anchors in the back. So 4 sets of latch anchors, also kind of an unusual move, and the rear seats also recline. So the 3rd row, you can have a really upright position to maximize the cargo space in the back. Of course, you can fold them as well, or you can have them in sort of a mid-level position where I think they're actually going to be among the most comfortable. I'll go ahead and put that in that position so you can see headroom still pretty generous, although the ceiling does start to tilt forward a little bit. And then, of course, we have about the same kind of cargo room behind everything that we find in a Kia Telluride. So even though you're going EV with the EV9, you don't really have to give up much practicality, whether that is behind the 3rd row or simply behind the 2nd row. Under the hood, you can see that we still have the relatively small front trunk. It is not the lid within a lid design that we've seen in other Hyundai and Kia EVs. I think this is a bit more practical and as a result more usable. Now, under that storage area, we find a new electric motor up front, and that's part of why we now get over 500 horsepower. I should say that the horsepower numbers are not official yet, but Kia says it will go 0 to 60 in at least 4.3 seconds, perhaps a little bit quicker. We're waiting for final details on that. We're also waiting for final details to find out what battery has been shoehorned under the body, because we don't know that quite yet. I suspect it's the same 99.8 kilowatt hour battery pack we find in the rest of the EV9 lineup, however. Now, unfortunately, at this time, we don't know pricing on the EV9, but we do know one important thing that will affect its effective pricing in North America. This is not going to be built in Georgia, where the rest of the EV9 lineup will be built for the United States. That means it's not going to qualify for any portion of the federal tax credit. I wouldn't be surprised if the price tag was over $80,000 anyway, and that would mean it wouldn't qualify based on its higher MSRP. But again, we don't know pricing details just yet. However, we do know that the rest of the EV9 lineup, that's already being built in Georgia, so it's going to qualify for at least some portion of the federal tax credit, and that effectively means it's going to be less expensive than some things like the ID Buzz that are not built in North America at all. As always, stay tuned because I'm really eager to see what performance is like in the EV9. Not all the numbers are final. That's the other thing I should tell you. The 501 horsepower, the 0 to 60 time of 4.3 seconds, those are not final just yet. We have to wait until it has been tested, so I would suspect it might actually get a little bit faster because the new Ioniq 9 from Hyundai, closely related to this, has a bigger battery pack, less power, and they say it will go 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. So I'm kind of curious to see how fast they can make the EV9 GT go. Also, because of this, wouldn't be surprised if we saw an Ioniq 9, not quite N, but maybe N line in the future. Let me know if you'd be more interested in that, or if you like this certainly more aggressive front-end design in the EV9.